How's it, guys? I'm supposed to be doing research and catching up on a whole lot of stuff, but oh dear me. Oh, so let's make movies. How's this? Marula Media, 30th of November, so the day before yesterday. Today's Friday, the 2nd of December. 2022. Police stations are, and then literally falling apart. I don't know what is metaphorically falling apart, why they had to insert that there, but I suppose that's the modern world. We all have to speak like, we have to speak English like Americans. And sadly, and this is for me genuinely sadder, you can believe me or not as you like, sadly, Afrikaners are writing Afrikaans like American English. Police stations are literally falling apart. This is the what do you call it? Translated. The gist of it is, okay, so Solidarity Research Institute did a comprehensive study conducted by an economic researcher called Theuns Dubuisson. Among 400 detectives at the police. Presumably, I don't know, but presumably they would have done it through their channels. They wouldn't have just marched into police stations and said, we're here, we check the toilets, what's in the kitchen, open that up for me. So presumably the study was conducted through Solidariteit as a union, through its channels, so via its members at various police stations. 400 detectives about their personal and working conditions. Of the 394 respondents who answered the question of whether they were satisfied with their working conditions or not, 57% said that they were not satisfied, so it's just over half, and a further 19% said they're not satisfied most of the time. I don't really understand it, to be honest. If you do, good for you. Is that better or worse? If it's a smaller number, then presumably it's worse. But what does that mean about the first question? Think about it logically. 57% said they were not satisfied. That's unqualified. Not satisfied. I am not satisfied. A smaller number says they're not satisfied most of the time, but not entirely dissatisfied. Or not entirely dissatisfied. If you can make sense of it, of the logic, of the syllogisms, good for you. But now, listen to this. Many of these detectives have to buy their own stationery. Many of them are expected to replace the tires on their police vehicles. Some detectives have as many as 500 unfinished files, in other words, unconcluded investigations or unresolved investigations, but they simply don't possess the resources to conclude the work. So this presumably is a kind of a worst case or a worse case. Up to 4 detectives must share one computer as old as 15 years of age that moreover does not have internet access. This is clown world. Some of the respondents, what percentage we don't know, presumably not a very high percentage, because I'm sure that if it was a very high percentage, they'd be crowing it from the rooftop. Nevertheless, small as the percentage may be, hear this. Some of the respondents said they have to share phones, and if they use their own mobile phones for work, they are never compensated for it. Presumably, what they should have said there is if they have to use their own mobile phones for work, because presumably you're not doing it out of choice if it's at your cost. And you do it because circumstances demand it. You're at a crime scene far away. You've got to call the ambulance. You've got to report to your captain. You've got to call for support. If detectives don't buy stationery and printing paper out of their own pockets, they simply don't have it at their disposal. You know, this grates me. I have a very high opinion of the police. I'm not talking about the crime intelligence guys who've tried to make my life a misery. I'm talking about the police. The police are the police, man. They're the goodies. Some of the stations do not have internet, and the systems are usually offline, meaning that arrested criminals cannot be processed or linked to other cases. Case numbers also often cannot be issued. Because presumably there's a numbering system, and and it's a live system. That's why they need internet access. At some police stations, the entire station, often with more than 30 members, shares one printer. A few respondents also complained about the outdated computers and software, and in some cases, unlicensed software is used. A respondent mentioned that evidence processed with unlicensed software is inadmissible in court. The detectives also report that even the most essential forensic equipment such as gloves, fingerprint powder, and sticks with which DNA samples are taken are not available. Okay, now, you may think that this is a storm in a teacup, that we're making a mountain out of a molehill. Listen to this. When detectives' vehicle tires run out, they are expected to pay for them themselves. Although they can claim it back, some say that it is a waste of time to attempt to do so because those claims are never handled. We have to drive with vehicles whose tires are done. Oh, the translation is so bad. It's not the article, it's the headline was. I mean, the translation didn't insert that word literally. But this is not the author's fault at all. Some of them only catch fire if you set them on fire. What it's meant to read, take it, is they only ignite if you ignite them. The vehicles only start if you push start them. Of our 6 vehicles, only one works. It's a marked vehicle. So the public keeps stopping it, so you can't do detective work because you can't refuse to help people. Okay, here we go. There's a photograph here of raw sewage running down the walls of the building. Jeez, this is revolting to me. Pretoria Central Police Station. Do you believe that? If somebody had told you 28 years ago that in 28 years' time there would be raw sewage running down the nation's, arguably the nation's premier or main or most important police station, would you have believed it? There is also no internet, email communication, telephones, stationery, printers, ink, vehicles, fingerprint powder, brooms, mops, or toilet paper at Pretoria Central. Oh, geez, like, no air conditioning has been broken for years. Hey, guys, I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, we white people in South Africa are must sooner rather than later learn how to function well without the state or the majority of the society around us. I know that's not an egalitarian thing to say. I know that it's not a new South Africa rainbow nation thing to say. I know that we're supposed to be egalitarian, but the implications are unacceptable, because the implications are that we all sink into the mud together. So don't you, if you're a liberal or if you're a black person and you're offended by that notion of people separating themselves, as all of the non-indigenous communities throughout Africa do. And I would know, I've visited over half of the countries in Africa. And in most cases, many times, because the reasons why I visited, such as for work, for projects, were such that there would be repeated visits and they would often be long. I know what I'm talking about. All of those communities isolate themselves physically and what is the right word? In terms of interaction and dealings. And it's not done in the spirit of hatred. It just isn't. I'm telling you. You don't encounter it. You don't deal with those expatriate communities and encounter rabid hatred for Africans. It's done purely in the spirit of, I don't want to slip into the mud with you. Hey guys, I'm telling you, we're so far behind, it's not true. We are very far behind. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If so, please press like. Please subscribe to the channel and share. Okay, dogs. Cheerio, everybody. Speak soon.